unite as a community, as the African community, both those living here and those who are living without. Then the second aspect, which was key to me, was the reparations that has been lip service by all these powers that be, both in Europe and in the Americas, that no one has come forward to pay credence to the injustices that were perpetrated on the African continent and on the African people. And therefore, they are saying that this time we must come out full hog to claim for what is rightfully ours. It is an absurdity that Africa, that has 40% of minerals, turns out to be the poorest in the entire world. So what a travesty that we suffer as the African people.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Jared Okello Nyando. Let's cross over. Governor, it's really is also an issue about governance. What do you make of where the Africa agenda needs to focus in the next 4 years?
Thank you very much. We are very happy to be here to support our candidate Raila Amolo Odinga. And what we have witnessed today is a rekindle of the Pan-Africanism that was started by the founding fathers of Kwame Nkrumah. So we're just hoping that one of the takeaways from what I have listened today is that as Africa, we should be able to harness our resources and stop relying so much on external funding or external support. We have enough resources, we have enough minerals that as a country, if we were to use it, we should be, as a continent, if we were to use it, it should be able to develop Africa as a continent. So we are here to support the candidature of our candidate, Raila Amolo Odinga, whom we believe strongly that with his experience, he should be able to provide the leadership that's going to change this continent of Africa.
Thank you so much. Let us cross over to Kisumu County, headed by Governor Anyang' Nyong'o Peter. Governor, how can we implement, some of the, pressing issues that were discussed, issues to do with good governance, security, peace and harmony among African member states? How do we perfect some of the, issues raised today?
Do you know, these are the issues that inspired the struggle for independence. So they're not new in Africa. They're as old as the struggle for independence. How can we implement them? You can see in Addis Ababa, if you have got good leadership, good policy, and commitment to change, things can happen very rapidly. So I think let us put our money where our mouth is to change Africa for the better. Secondly, it is known that unity is strength. The whole purpose of creating the African Union was to maximize on our numbers and our resources and our size of the continent, so that the continent as a whole moves forward. Nobody is left behind. And now, of course, now you can see what is happening in the DRC. It really undermines the purpose of African unity, that our resources are being used by people who disorganize our societies, and we must come together to stop that. If we do not, then we shall only be speaking and not doing something to change our continent.
What was your key highlight in the morning session out of all those addresses made by the speakers?
I think my key highlight, the thing about the Palestinians, because it is key. It is key, it is urgent. It shows solidarity with struggling people. And the Palestinians are very productive people. Given a chance in their own homeland, they will do a lot to the third world. So I think that disruption of Palestine is not only an injury to Palestinians, it is an injury to the whole of the third world, struggling to get out of the oppression by the imperialism and neo-imperialism in our two societies, Africa and the Middle East.
Thank you so much, Governor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o there, the governor of Kisumu, just part of the delegation, both from Kenyan and also the African delegation, that has camped here in Addis Ababa. I'll allow you to leave, Governor. Thank you so much. And you know what? We had one, Stephen Leto Kipruto, who was part and parcel of, the delegates. Leto, you almost thought you were ahead of state because you are sitting so close in the plenary, to the designated dignitaries. But Leto, the very passionate speeches this morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Speeches from the, Musa Faki, the outgoing AUC chair, giving a passionate, really, statement. But the most important one was that statement that was given by, what we will call the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, giving a very passionate speech, particularly on the issue of instability in Africa, particularly the issue of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Sudan, saying that Africa is now the home of, millions and millions of, refugees within home. And so there is a lot of issues that came up in that speech. And the very, quote that I picked was that we should stop financing bloodshed. And that is exactly what the speeches out there were. But like you've said, I was really seated very, very, very close to the heads of state. What I can tell you, President William Ruto was a busy man throughout the first session of the 38th Summit of the Heads of State.
Restless, you want to say?
Not really restless, but literally moving in and out of the session, with his team, trying to converse with presidents, from his left-hand side to the right-hand side to his front, just looking at his face. He looks bright and he looks, lobbying, doing a last-minute lobbying. And of course, we are hoping the last-minute lobbying could give Raila Odinga, an upper hand in the first round, second round, or thereabout.
Unfortunately, Leto, I warned you about being carried away because you almost thought you were one of the heads of state. You were not. And unfortunately, you'll not be allowed in the second session.
Absolutely. The second session will be a closed session because what is essentially happening now is the heads of state are on a coffee break. That is what has been put. I understand coffee is their tea here. So they are on a coffee break for a couple of minutes, and then they will go back into the plenary, and it will be a closed door. And by the time they are done with that closed door session, we might be having some white smoke coming out in terms of progress in the order paper. Let's call it that for now. Progress in the order.
Because the election is the second item in the closed session.
Brought actually the election forward. Initially it was the last item really, but according to the order paper that we've seen right now, the plenaries, that they've brought it to be the second item, which means before they go for a lunch break, we might be having some, close to some news.
We hope, and we're camping here just to make sure that we have that news. Leto, let me just release you to have a cup of coffee as well, because